Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Live from Super Soul Farm, this is Wisdom of the Sages, a daily yoga podcast with your host, Raghunath, and co-host and senior educator at the Bhakti Center, New York, Kasturi Das. Welcome to the show, everybody. Welcome to today's study of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam, the way to connect in the midst of this crazy Kali Yuga that we're living in. You know, I listened to Joe Rogan and Russell Brand the other day. They both talked about Kali Yuga. Kali Yuga is like a buzzword now.
Okay.
And in the middle of Kali Yuga, how to reconnect? You reconnect through chanting the holy name, through the teachings of the Srimad Bhagavatam. That's what it's all about. We're in the crazy world. And we all need a little peace. It's a temporary world. Of course, it's going to be filled with anxiety. We're building our lives in castles of sand as the tide is coming in, Kastuba. Give me some peace. Give me some shelter. We're going to talk about that today.
You want to talk about finding peace and shelter?
Peace, shelter, okay. Liberation versus bhakti. What does that mean?
Okay.
Interesting themes.
Yeah.
Mara's not feeling good today.
She got the flu or something?
She's got something. I don't know.
Are you taking care of her?
Oh yeah.
Are you cooking for her?
She doesn't want to eat. She's been fasting.
Oh, okay.
We've been reading a lot of Lord Chaitanya pastimes.
Oh, that's good.
Me and the Super Soul crew, Moses, Mallory, and Mara, the 3 M's, M and M, I call them. We get together, we read a lot of Lord Chaitanya's pastimes. We're inspired.
Very nice.
I feel like magic's happening, Kastuba. I feel like magic's happening in my life. And Krishna always keeps being like, you never know what's next, just to keep your hands up in the air and just rely on Krishna's grace. That's how I'm feeling. I'm feeling this world to be quite magical.
But you have to remember that when you're feeling grumpy too, that like, right?
I know.
Keep that in mind.
I know. Well, I will say chanting good japa, hearing Lord Chaitanya's pastimes, hearing Krishna's pastimes, doing the show in the morning, doing some sweet baby Krishnas in the evening, all that stuff accelerates taking full shelter when things are going south.
So true. I was thinking just when I came back from Mayapur, I was just thinking, Tara and I, we would just go to the temple in the morning. You could just stand in front of these, look at them for so long. We'd bathe in the Ganga, in the afternoon, have some nice prasad, read Chaitanya Charitamrita together, go to the temple in the evening. That's a formula right there. You don't really need anything else in life. It's like, it's like the whole thing was just so nice, You don't need Netflix. You don't need, all kinds of gadgets. There's so many things that we really can be happy, satisfied in a simple way. These things they're so satisfying. Yeah.
Well, even the simple things like Netflix, like a simple thing like Netflix. I'm not like talking about a Lamborghini or something, but like Netflix is sort of like, there's this enticement, like, no, if you do it, you'll actually enjoy. And you don't actually enjoy. You always feel like a little, what was I thinking? It was that famous mantra I say, what was I thinking? That is the mantra of materialism. What was I thinking?
In other words, why did I think I was going to like this?
Like, why did I think that would be great enjoyment? It's an occasional, sometimes you feel something and even the ones that are actually feel good, maybe a movie or something, it's because it resonates with you spiritually,
Right. Well, I think also this may be a sign of your own developing spiritual tastes. In other words, if we're fortunate, we begin to lose a taste for those things that are disassociated, those things that take us away from our spiritual thought, and so you just say, I'm not into that anymore. That's a good feeling. Actually, even that feeling of whatever, I don't know if disgust is a strong word, but like that feeling of, I don't like that anymore. That feeling can be really satisfying when you
sure.
Oh yeah, I can let go now.
More than a feeling.
Let go of that one, Raghunath.
That's a good one.
Just let it go.
I don't know if you could see the moon from your room last night. The moon was so powerful.
Golden.
I could not sleep. I'm a pretty heavy sleeper. I woke up literally every half hour. I
Howling.
went to bed super early, and I just kept on waking up. And I was like, am I just like, do I have anxiety or something? I think it was the potency of the moon. And I was having very Krishna conscious dreams. I had a dream. I was at LA Ralph Theatre singing and dancing.
Nice.
Then I went back to bed, had a crazy dream about jumping tractors over creeks.
What do you mean you
but
went
then I
back
woke
to
up
bed?
again and had another crazy dream about Jiva G life coaching that I was instructing her. Check out this dream. I wouldn't accept this as Shastra, but it was an interesting dream. She was sitting there in meditation. I was instructing Jiva G. I was saying, this is how you call the Ganges to descend. And I was teaching her mystical incantations to ask the Ganga to descend. A crazy dream.
Was it Gange Cha Yamuna Chaiva? Like that?
I don't know what it was. But that's how I woke up, and I was like, what an interesting dream that was.
Nice.
Okay.
Okay.
Anyway.
Why don't we move on to the Nugget?
Yeah,
announcements. What about announcements?
Without Mara, I don't even know what to announce.
Is today the webinar? The big webinar?
I thought that was Jiva G. Put it on the board.
Is today the big Bhakti Recovery webinar? And if you want to attend that, assuming that it is today.
I thought that was Saturday.
I don't know. I may be totally out of it. I believe it was Saturday. Okay. I missed that one. Sorry, folks.
Put it on the board, people.
Today? We don't have any.
We're going to Italy, everybody. Come to Italy with us. We got a very cool crew, Kostuba.
Yeah.
Italy in the summer. It's nice. It's wonderful. You can fly into Bologna. You can fly into Milan. Milan's cheaper. It's a couple hours far, but it's like, it's worth it. It's worth go. If you're going to go on vacation anyway, why not go with a whole bunch of devotees?
Yeah.
It's fun. It's just fun. Being around people's fun.
Agreed.
And
so if people want to go to Italy, where do they go?
wisdomofthesages.com/events. And you can sign up
there.
there. Reasonably priced, good food, good people. You'll feel like I explored Italy also. You won't be like, I didn't do anything. I just hang out with a bunch of Hare Krishnas. No, we explore cool places. And you hang out with a bunch of Hare Krishnas too.
And then there's a Bhakti Recovery Group women's meeting today, 2 p.m.
Oh, yeah. Here, Professor Snooki on the message board says, free webinar with Jiva G Saturday, March 4th, 1 p.m. Eastern time.
There you go.
Yeah.
And for that, I think you go to Bhakti Recovery Group on Instagram and you send a direct message and they'll send you
a Zoom link.
Okay.
Yeah. Hey, I'm going to Florida next week. I think so. Because my mom's down in Florida and she needs all the siblings are taking turns with mom.
No kidding.
So yeah, I'm taking care of her. And
how long are you going for?
I think just Monday through Friday.
All right.
But I got to figure it out today. So just put that on the.
Okay. Yeah. Let's keep it moving here, Raghunath. Put the
all
nugget.
right.
Do you want me to read the nugget? Do you want to read the nugget?
You can read the nugget today.
Okay. Today's nugget is coming from Stephen R. Covey.
One of my favorites.
Famous author of, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People.
Principle-centered living.
And I think of him as a Brahmana, right? Not Brahmana in the sense that he's like washing his hands constantly and doing,
3 baths a day.
But, but like he was a thoughtful person that could communicate truths, sattvic truths in healthy ways, and he kind of can, his thoughts, he's a kind of like a thought leader, in society, kind of in general, setting people in good direction, healthy directions, Mm-hmm. So this is his nugget. We've mentioned this one before, but ready?
Hit me.
If the ladder is not leaning against the right wall, every step we take just gets us to the wrong place faster.
Ooh. I like the concept he also says about and when you get to the top, it's sort of like, do I even want to be here? If this is one of these things to the
top too, right?
I use this a lot because in my business of yoga teacher training, trips to India, things like that, I get a lot of people who are in transition, like, what do I want to do with my life? Or maybe they're leaving a long-term relationship, or maybe something new is happening. They're quitting their career. I get a lot of that. And usually it's people who have worked very hard with time, over time, invested resources, and they've achieved a certain modicum of success. And they realize do I even want this? Do I even want this? I've put in time, energy, resources, and I don't even want to be here.
Right.
And the problem with that is you get accustomed to all the accoutrements of success. I got the latest phone and the newest 2023 car and this nice thing, but deeply I'm unhappy and unsatisfied. So what is the point of climbing that ladder of success if it's leaning against the wrong wall? When I actually get to the top and I'm like, whoa, and what do you do? What do you do with that? And, the answer is you sit there empty with all those accoutrements, or you do the very difficult work, but sort of sweet work of climbing down that ladder and then looking around and saying, where do I want to be in a year, 5 years, 10 years from now?
What does success look like?
What is a home run here?
Yeah.
Why am I, I've been busy doing nothing. That was a theme of my Instagram post yesterday. But we've been busy doing nothing. We're like running races that have no ending.
To me, what this makes me think of is just that I'd imagine, like, we're speaking to our listeners right now. There's thousands of people out there, and I think every one of us can ask ourselves, you go through life and you get put through certain cycles. Your parents are doing it, your schools are doing it. In one sense, you could say the government is doing it, but we're given certain ideas of what constitutes success, but we may never even slow down to think very deeply about that, right? Whether that is truly success, or whether we're climbing a ladder to someone else's definition of success that's maybe not very well conceived at all. And we may not discover that until we're in our 30s or pushing 40. It's like, hold it. Okay, I kind of did all the things I was supposed to do. I got some education. I entered into a certain field. I began to climb the ladder within that field. Running parallel to that, I found a spouse. We had a couple kids. We purchased a home. We did all these different things. But okay, was that the success, or is there something more to life? Is there something, to find a deeper happiness? Is there something more to life that I haven't been focusing on? For instance, like in the yoga tradition, in the Bhakti tradition, it doesn't deny any of those things. It doesn't deny getting an education. It doesn't deny finding a spouse and, having kids and, entering into the work field. It doesn't say that you can't do these things. But what it says is these things in themselves aren't the purpose of life.
They're meant to serve something greater.
They can be tied into it, and they can be helpful in it. They can be hard. They can just totally distract you from it, or they can thoughtfully be engaged in such a way where they become part of that spiritual path. And so, but we may never even have identified that there's a spiritual path, that those things that are potential distractions, we just saw as the goal. We got up to the top of the ladder and we said, what the hell am I doing here? What is this? And that can be a very empty feeling.
A lot of times we forget the fact that as adults, we can really, for the most part, we can like create our own life. We can do whatever we want in a lot of ways. We have that. A lot of us have that freedom. We can say, you know what? I know the boulder's been rolling down the hill like this, but I don't have to do this anymore at all. I don't have to live here. I don't have to be here. I've been in this abusive relationship with a spouse or a boss, I don't have to do that anymore. I don't have to accept it. I don't have to lean on this as my fix to medicate some pain any longer. There's tons of different alternatives. I'm a Google search away from finding different places, different alternatives or different choices that will actually serve me. And sometimes it's good just to sort of saying, this part of my life is over and I'm going to start something new. I'm
100% with you. But again, what am I going to base that new thing on? Like, by what standard will I try to understand success?
Sure. I think the people that are attracted to this not necessarily even have some strong idea like Krishna is the supreme Lord, that young cowherd boy from Vrindavan. I think a lot of people come to the show because they hear like there's an alternative. There is a difference between, people are lost. Someone wrote me yesterday, sincerely, is there a right and a wrong? It's like we have to start from like the ABCs with a lot of people.
There you go.
Yes, there is right and wrong. Yes, there's good and bad. Yes, there's light and darkness. Don't let the material world confuse you. If we want to move towards light in every facet of our life, in the things that we consume, in the people that we hang out with, in the things that we put in our ears and eyes, or our mouth, in what we do for recreation, what we do in the workplace, there is definitely things that lift us higher or take us down. And in the Bhakti community, what I think it should be, what it should be, is that we're putting things in that are lifting us higher and refining us. And there's this, and even above the health, is the consciousness. And above the consciousness, what are we focusing that consciousness? And it's all bringing us to this very, very refined point of connection between Jiva and Bhagawan, or self and God, as he'd call it, or spirit and God. That's the home run. That's the grand slam.
I agree. That's a home run. And even like on the way, like the triple, let's say.
What's a triple?
Triple
If that's the grand slam, what's the triple?
Well, like the understanding that I'm not my body, for instance. Just trying to understand I am spirit. Even that, let's call that a triple, right? In other words, is the point of who am I? It all kind of begins with that question. Am I this body? Am I this person with a temporary existence in a certain?
I would call that a single. I'd call that or a double, okay, at least.
I mean, if you can
triple would be
all
sort
of
of
your
like
material attachments and realize the bliss of the self, to me that's more than like a fun single or something like that.
Well, I'd say a triple would be like a nama boss. I'm chanting, but not purely. How about that for a triple?
It's different ways you can look at it. Yeah.
Nama boss.
All right.
Oh, Kastuba, that's a good one. That's a great analogy.
It is a great analogy. And why don't we, I think we're going to be revisited as we dive into Bhagavatam today. So why don't we go ahead and dip in?
Dip. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam mudirayat. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances to the Supreme Lord Narayan, unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and to Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta prayeshva bhadreshu nityam bhagavat sevaya bhagavati uttama bhaktir bhavati naistaki. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart will become eradicated, and loving service to the Supreme Lord, who is praised with transcendental songs, will be established as an irrevocable fact. Om Gyana Timarandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chaksurun Midatam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, and my teachers are opening my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my obeisances at their lotus feet. Greetings. This is where Mara would chime in.
Yeah, I was going to say,
did Mara from the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5. Ever hear Mara's answering machine message? Hi, this is Mara. I was like, who the heck is speaking? Hi. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, Chapter 6, Text 17.
Are we on 17? I thought
we were on 15, I think. Yeah. I was reading these last night. Because sometimes, Kastuba, I prepare.
Did you prepare for today's show?
Of sorts. I'm always a little prepared.
Now
I'm always a little unprepared, just to keep it real.
Okay, you're playing with the idea of me reading the text. Do you want to do that, or do you want to read them?
You can read. Why don't you read today?
Give it a try.
Why don't you read today? Let's play with that idea.
Let's play with it. Let's see where it goes.
See what comes out of it.
Okay, so now we have Shukadeva Goswami speaking to Maharaj Pariksit, right? So this is sage level number 2. This is the fundamental conversation going on throughout the entire 18,000 verses of Bhagavatam, right?
Yeah.
And it's wrapping up. We're wrapping up. We've been a few chapters now talking about Rishabhdev, Lord Vishnu incarnating as first a king, but then becoming like this radical renunciate, like this Avaduta, right? Rules and regulations of society just like beyond them, just wandering naked and looking mad. But he had a very, very deep internal life going on that most people couldn't recognize.
Hmm.
And so now Sukadeva Goswami, who himself is quite the character, right? He's also sitting there.
Right. He's sitting naked telling this story.
Yeah.
There's a lot of nudity going on in this book, I've noticed.
A lot of nudity going on in this chapter. So Sukadeva Goswami is speaking to the King Maharaj Pariksit, who is days away from death, right? We're in the 5th canto now, so there's 12 cantos, although the 10th one's very big, but he's maybe got 4.5 days left or something like that, right?
Yep.
Before the curse will set in and he'll die. So he's receiving instructions from this 16-year-old naked sadhu, Shukadeva Goswami. And Shukadeva is wrapping up the chapter on Rishabdev. We're about to move. Next chapter will be about Rishabdev's son Bharata. Next few chapters. This will be a great section of Bhagavatam. There's going to be incredibly great instructions through those chapters. But he's wrapping it up. Maybe we'll wrap up this chapter today. A few verses left. But he's wrapping up his descriptions of Rishabdev by glorifying him. And he's continuing with that glorification here. He says, this is text 15, chapter 5 of the 5th canto, chapter 6 of the 5th canto. He says, who is that mystic yogi? Raghunath, who is that mystic yogi who can follow the example of Lord Rishabdev even in their own mind? Who can do that? Lord Rishabdev rejected all kinds of yogic perfection, which other yogis hanker to attain. I think Raghunath hankers just a little bit for some.
A little bit. I hanker a little bit for them.
Which one is your favorite?
I like Prapti. I like. Let's talk. We'll talk about it.
I like Prapti, and you're just making anything appear in your hand. Lord Rishabdev rejected all kinds of yogic perfection, all these mystic powers. That's what that means, which other yogis hanker to attain. Who is that yogi who can compare to Lord Rishabdev? Text 16. Shukadeva Goswami continued, Lord Rishabdeva is the master of all Vedic knowledge, human beings, demigods, cows, and brahmanas. I have already explained his pure transcendental activities, which will vanquish the bad karma of all living entities. This narration of Lord Rishabdev's pastimes is a reservoir of all auspicious things. Whoever attentively hears or speaks of them, following in the footsteps of the Charyas, here comes the false Shruti, will certainly attain unalloyed devotional service at the lotus feet of Lord Vasudeva, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Nice, huh? That means all of us. Everybody here. Text 17. This is a nice verse. Devotees always bathe themselves in devotional service in order to be relieved from the various tribulations of material existence. Interesting. By doing this, the devotees enjoy supreme bliss, and liberation personified comes to serve them. There's a lot to talk about in this verse.
There's a lot, yeah.
Nonetheless, they do not accept that service, even if it is offered by the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself.
So you just said liberation herself, like a feminine, giving her feminine qualities. Liberation comes and gives, but we're not even accepting.
Yeah, I'm not interested in what you have to offer, liberation. Thank you, but no thank you.
Like the path of a lot of yogis is mukti. We talk about it a lot. Mukti.
Yeah.
Nope.
Okay, so let's finish this verse and we'll get into this in depth.
Okay.
Nonetheless, they do not accept that service, even if it is offered by the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself, even if Krishna says, here's liberation. Right? For the devotees, liberation or mukti is very unimportant, because having attained the Lord's transcendental loving service, they have attained everything desirable and have transcended all material desires. Okay. So this is important, right? Because first, why don't you share with me what you think about that, Raghunath?
Well, let's talk about the cities first.
Okay.
I think it's interesting that the cities even exist and we're like cruising over them like it's no big deal. Just like there was this whole thing on the New York Times about like, it didn't even make, the world is so crazy now that it didn't even like, no one even like thought twice about it when they had this thing in the New York Times about UFOs have been spotted. UFOs are real. And no one even like that would have stopped everything. That would have stopped trains. And it was like, oh yeah, and COVID and
well, it's just because
everything,
it's
UFOs, whatever.
For so long, over such a long period of time, that like everyone's sort of adjusted to the idea.
We've adjusted. Of course they exist. But, so it's sort of like we're just jumping over mystical powers and we're accepting them as real, but we're going to just glance over them. But they're quite interesting. the ability to become small at any size by attaining the city, a practitioner can reduce one's body even to the size of an atom or to become invisible. He becomes supernaturally strong and congenial. That's Anima City. Anima City. Mahima is the one where they get to expand, right? Who did that? You got one? Who expanded? I'm trivia. I'm putting you on the hot seat.
Like numbers of people, in other words, like they can take on many bodies.
Yeah, where they can expand their body.
They can make their body bigger.
Hanuman got very big.
Like shape-shifting.
Shape-shifting. Then there's this, I don't, I've heard that mystic cities get different names. Sometimes there's slightly different lists. Garima, the ability to become infinitely heavy.
That can blow.
It cannot be moved by anyone. The one I like is Lagima. Lagima is weightlessness, lighter than air. That's the walking on water one. Propti is the one where you can grab things from other places. You can just reach your hand.
Appear in your palm.
It appears like they're appearing, but the yogis have they enter into different dimensions. And the interesting thing, quantum physics talks about this now. Like there are definitely other dimensions, and they speak of it like they're speaking truth. But these are things like yogis always just got.
Raghunath, yesterday we did a little bit. We went somewhere we don't normally go, where we called out a popular figure by name.
Oh, did you get some? Heat for that?
No.
Everybody pig pile it.
I'm sorry.
Did everybody pig pile?
I didn't get anything. At least I didn't notice.
Usually, you get heat or you get pig piling. You know what I mean by pig piling? Everybody starts to jump on.
Starts jumping on the pile, saying,
"Yeah, let's get Sadhguru."
No, but I was thinking that there have been several, and right now, I won't name the name today, but there's some person out there that goes under the banner of Bhakti, but he's also now into doing these magic tricks, and you can watch the videos of him doing these things, right? Like trying to show the world I'm a mystic yogi, and I have these cities, I have these powers, like making Shiva lingas appear or things like that.
It's a cool trick. I'm not saying it's not a cool trick. If you were to walk on water, I'm interested in Wim Hof taking a cold bath.
Slow down.
But that being said,
slow down.
I don't think you're God or an avatar for it.
But the point is, here's my point. A real mystic yogi could just hold out their hand and make it appear. What this person's doing is first of all, he's got this big chudder on,
right?
And then he's like kind of like he's got his hands up to his mouth. I think he even has like a cloth up there because like when he wants to receive it in the cloth, right?
Oh,
but like there's so much like what do they call it, sleight of hand going on in this thing.
Hey, here's the deal, Costume. Yeah. Even if he could do it, like you're saying, like he's not doing real mysticism. He's high. Mystic, it might be like the old handkerchief in the arm, and then look, the handkerchief appeared. My freaking 9-year-old does that one. But the thing, right. my point is, even if they do have, like, if you look at these, ever watch those Wim Hof mini documentaries?
No.
You should watch them. You should watch them. This guy, I mean, he's a bona fide mystic. The guy swims under ice for like an incredibly long period of time. It's quite unbelievable. And anyway, to make a long story short, he's definitely got some cities or some superpowers. That being said, and I don't know Wim Hof. I'm sure he's a gentleman, but he could be insane. He could be violent. He could be a murderer. I'm not saying he is, but he could be. He has the option. Just because you have a mystical power or a superpower doesn't give you great character. What to speak of make you a great saint? What to speak of make you an avatar? We have to distinguish between the two. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, I appreciate that.
So I'm not saying these guys, maybe they are mystics, but we say,
well, hold it. First, my point is, no, you're not a mystic. If you're a mystic, you just do it. You're not putting on this whole show and you got the chudder and the cloth and, and then you pull it out of your mouth and you're like, oh, look what I achieved. And all his followers are like, whoa, he just made it.
He did it again.
He did it. Wow. You just, but there's that scene in Radhanath Swami's book, The Journey Home, where he saw like one of these mystics. And he was way up in the Himalayas, and this person was like kind of putting on a show for everyone, and he crushed a light bulb and ate it. Right?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I find it interesting. I just don't worship them.
Your interest aside, what happened was it was blowing everyone's mind, and they're looking at him like, "Oh my God, are you God? Who are you?" and then he just lectured them. He used it as an opportunity to lecture. This is nothing.
Oh
Right?
yes, that was good. Yeah,
right.
yes.
Yeah. He said that you think that this means something. This doesn't mean I'm an incarnation. I'm an avatar. It doesn't even mean that I have any deep spiritual understanding. This is something that I've learned how to do. You know, but it's not important at all. What's important, and then he goes on to say, like, you know, what real spirituality is. So,
By the way,
anyway,
before I forget, Kelly Skinner, Bright Light from Vermont, you're in charge of takeaways today.
oh,
So start. She's a good note taker.
okay. So in any case, what's being said here, part of the glorification of Rishabdev was, although he had the power to do all these things, he wasn't interested in them. He just let them go. So let's zoom out from the Bhagavatam now. Right now we're right in one or two verses of the Bhagavatam. Let's expand our scope and look at, okay, we have the entire Bhagavatam, we have the Puranas, and then we have the entire Vedic literature, including the Vedas and the Upanishads and so on. And if we go to those texts, you see what Vyasadeva, the author of all of these texts, when he went back and revised the Srimad Bhagavatam, he did it with a specific purpose, and that was, he was told by his group, people can get mixed up here. They don't know what you're emphasizing, what the goal of it all. You've spoken about all these. You've spoken about karma, how to be a pious materialist in this world and enjoy the things of this world. You've talking about jnana, how to renounce the things of this world and find moksha, you know, find peace from the sufferings of this world. Even you've talked about yoga, right? Like, here, yoga meaning like developing these mystic perfections. Those things, people are going to be confused about, like, what are all these books that Vyasadeva gave us? What are they meant for? What's the goal of them? Is it just all a big smorgasbord and you pick what you want? Is something higher than another thought? Is it moving in a direction? And so in Bhagavatam, he's like saying, yes, it was moving in a direction, right? But where the goal of it all, where you want your ladder to be, don't put your ladder, you know, in the karma kunda of the Vedas and elevate yourself to the higher planetary systems and then come back down. You know, don't place your ladder on the mystic yoga, finding the mystic cities of mystic yoga that are discussed. You know, that Patanjali discusses those in some detail in the Yoga Sutras. Even if you get that, and it's so hard to get that, once you achieve it, you'll be at the top of the ladder saying, what did I come here for? You know, I waste my. And we're finding here now he's talking about liberation personified, also moksha, freedom from the sufferings of this world, and some kind of like peace. That's also not the highest goal. And so he's clarifying that in Bhagavatam. In these verses, he's clarifying it. And this very interesting idea, this very interesting expression came. Let's look at this again. He said, what was it in 17? First, he said, devotees always bathe themselves in devotional service, in bhakti, in order to be relieved from the various tribulations of material existence. They find that through bhakti, not through jnana, let's say. By doing this, the devotees enjoy supreme bliss, and liberation personified comes to serve them. All right. So that's an interesting, and that's something, you know, who also wrote about that.
Everybody wrote about that.
No, I don't know if everybody did, but
I mean, like a lot of the great saints write about that.
Well, Bilvamangala
Chapu put on the board
Thakur,
Bilvamangala Thakur.
Bilvamangala Thakur, in particular, he had this verse where he says like this. This is the great Bhakti-yogi sitting in Vrindavan, meditating on Sri Krishna. And he says, my dear Lord, if we develop unflinching bhakti unto you, unflinching devotion unto you, then automatically, without even trying for it, right? This happens automatically. Then automatically your transcendental youthful form is revealed to us. Thus, liberation herself waits with folded hands to serve us. And the ultimate goals of religiosity, economic development, and sense gratification are automatically attained without separate endeavor. So these are considered to be the goals that laid out in the Vedic paradigm, right? That, okay, first comes dharma, be a dharmic person, be a good person, you know, be self-disciplined and kind and generous and good, you know, and then artha, and from that you'll get good karma, you'll get wealth in life, you'll get the good things in life. and then dharma, karma, artha, and then moksha. Then eventually, once you've tasted those things, you kind of, if you're continuing studying and contemplating correctly, having tasted those things, you'll let go of them.
Persia, why is the floor squishy?
Uh-oh.
Uh oh.
Someone's going rogue on us.
We got it.
You got it.
So anyway, and then moksha is you let go of it all. But here, this verse is saying there's something higher than all of those things: dharma, artha, kama, sense enjoyment, and moksha, and that is devotion, or ultimately love is the highest principle. So it's saying, it's using this, I don't know what you call it, but like this personification, right? Picture this, that a goddess of liberation comes to you and says, I'm ready to give you everything I've got. Tell me what you want. I'm standing here with folded hands. Everything that moksha has to offer is yours now, because you have devotion. And the devotee is saying, yogis would work so hard, renounce so much, perform intense austerities, seclude themselves, in mountain caves, for years and years, or even lifetimes, to try to achieve moksha, to try to achieve liberation. And the devotee, because that means they have to work so hard to give up so much, to become detached, to let go. The devotee, by falling in love with the youthful Krishna, they've already lost interest in all those things because he's captivated them. So it all came automatic, without separate endeavor. When you love someone, you forget about everything else. And when you love Krishna especially, you forget. So even moksha, which yogis would work so hard to get, moksha is sitting here saying, I'm here for you whenever you want. You don't have to work for me. I'm working for you. And the devotee is saying, I'm not interested in moksha. I'm not interested in freedom from material difficulties, because I have everything here, in my love for Krishna. Material difficulties are meaningless to me.
If I was to put this in like a layman's terms, these three things, like bhukti, mukti, and bhakti. Bhukti would be like, well, I want to enjoy this world, and this is sort of like where the world's at. How can I find stuff to do in this world, and that makes me feel good? And after a while, if you're a little insightful, you become like, you know what? This is temporary and limited. There should be more. There must be more in this world. And I think a lot of people that get on a spiritual path, they've had that experience. There's got to be more than this. Okay, we're going out to dinner tonight again. Woo! We're going out on vacation again. Woo! Yeah, drinking, sex, whatever it is. Woo! It's all a big woo! And after a while, there's like an emptiness. There must be more. And there must be something more on a more subtle level. And so after experiencing the ups and downs of pleasure, and then it's gone, the temporary pleasure of our sense gratification, we try to figure out how to find something a little bit more subtle and a little bit more deep and a little bit more lasting. And then you have these two options here. We have mukti, which is, I want to escape. You know what? A lot of this indulgence of my senses has given me an upset stomach, so to speak, a disturbed mind, so to speak. Maybe I've got an addiction, so that's not serving. What's that?
The pain of loss. Everything that I have, I lose, and I feel pain.
Yeah, and I've become my desires. I've been punishing myself by fulfilling my desires. Like sometimes my desires are I'm my worst enemy. And sometimes I have to pray, please, Krishna, protect me from my desires, right? It's not like we're desiring things that are not good for us. So we get to this point, like, I need to back off this type of insanity and try to find some peace in this world. I need peace. Relationships cost me no peace. I'm over that. Food and eating and indulgence never caused me any peace. I'm over that. Intoxicants cause me. I'm over that. And I just start to extremely regulate my senses. And from that, you will develop a type of peace of mind. And in that, you can sort of like be in sort of a very, almost a blissful state if you have a bona fide way to connect with yourself underneath the senses. Bhakti, and it's very peaceful. Bhakti, on the other hand, will say, you know what? Good. But it's sort of like they walk the same path and then they split. And Bhakti will say, you know what? I'm going to take on a burden. I'm going to go out of my way. I'm going to get my shoes dirty and I'm going to roll up my sleeves and I'm going to work hard in this world if it pleases my Lord. There's an idea of a personal deity, not just me feeling peaceful and blissful in my bliss, but I'm going to take my personal bliss and engage it in a higher bliss. And that might mean I might live in a place I don't want to live. I might do something I don't want to do. I might do so, and in that there comes a deep joy. And I think we've all experienced some type of deep joy working for a higher cause better than ourselves. What you think about this, Kostuba? You like where I'm going with this?
No, I think the way that you're laying it out is very helpful. We can try to enjoy the things of this world, and if we're thoughtful, we're going to realize actually they bring just as much suffering as they bring happiness. Okay, then we can say, okay, you know what? I need to let go of the things of this world, right? And through that, one can find a state of peace. And really, you're kind of bringing it, when you say in layman's terms, you're kind of like bringing it down to like a definition of these things in a very relevant way to us, like right here and now.
Yeah.
But the idea of like enjoying the things of this material world, that extends up to like worlds that we know nothing of, right? Like higher planets where the enjoyment is like incredible. Like that's the goal of that path. And the goal of the path of Jnana, or for aiming at moksha, is not just like a piece of this world, but it's a piece where you lose your body and you merge into a divine light, and for a long extended period of time.
I had to keep it it simple.
But it's helpful putting it in context. And so here, what we're hearing, what Bhagavatam is showing us again and again in so many different ways, and here Sukadeva Goswami is doing this. Vyasadeva is curating different conversations, putting them all in Bhagavatam so we can't miss the point, is that the goal of mukti, which the Jnana yogis are working so hard to achieve, to the accomplished Bhakti-yogi, what mukti has to offer is insignificant. It's kind of like if I said, hey, Raghunath, I could give you a nice vacation in the Bahamas. It's going to be really peaceful. A lot of the stress that you're going through right now is not going to be there. And you'd be like, okay, great. I'm ready to go. And I said, but by the way, you're never going to see your loved ones again. That's it for them. You'd be like, well, I'm not interested in that peace. I want to see my loved ones. And so for the devotee, they love Krishna, right? They've developed a love for God. To them, that's more important than anything, right? And even mukti is coming, hey, I can take you on vacation. You can have peace of mind all alone. I don't want that. I'm not interested in that. So it's an interesting juxtaposition where the Jnana yogi is thinking, all I need is peace. I desperately need peace. I'll give up everything for peace. The Bhakti yogi is like, I'm not interested. Peace,
bring it on.
I have peace even in the difficult circumstances because of my love. And
sure.
Love becomes ours. Why don't we read the commentary here, and Prabhupada writes some nice stuff.
You go.
He says, devotional service unto the Lord is the highest attainment for anyone desiring liberation from the tribulations of material existence. In other words, you find that liberation through bhakti, but in the highest way. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, 622, yes. I always love these verses, 620 through 623, where it describes this super elevated state. It says here, Yam labdva chaparam labham manyate nadikam tata. Gaining this, one thinks there's no greater gain, right? When you have divine love, moksha doesn't seem like a greater gain. When one attains the service of the Lord, which is non-different from the Lord, one does not desire anything material. Mukti means relief from material existence. Now he quotes Bilvamangala, right? Bilvamangala Thakur says, Mukti mukulitanjali sevate sman, right? Anjali means that Anjali mudra, folded hands, right? So mukti is standing there in that Anjali mudra saying, I'm here for you. Like there's nothing more. You don't have to go to a cave. Everything you need to do to get my blessings or my service, you've achieved already. Tell me what you want. I'll take you to the Bahamas. I'll give you the peace of Brahman, whatever you want. And so for a devotee, mukti is not a very great achievement. Mukti means being situated in one's now Prabhupada kind of flips it. He says mukti Liberation means being situated in one's constitutional position. The constitutional position of every living being is that of the Lord's servant. Right? We're starting in the beginning of the show, right? Who am I? Right? If we want to know where our ladder's supposed to be, what wall our ladder's supposed to be leaning up against in life, first we have to understand, who am I? Am I this body? Am I a man? Am I a woman? I'm an American. Is my identity connected to these or am I something else or someone else? So the constitutional position of every living being, who am I, is that of the Lord's servant. Therefore, when a living entity is engaged in the Lord's loving service, they have already achieved mukti, right? I'm already free. I've already broken out of the prison. Nothing's holding me down. Consequentially,
within mukti, within mukti, there's certain criteria for your peace. Whereas within bhakti, you'll say, okay, if I say, okay, Kaustubha, I want you to take care of this temple that is falling apart in the midst of Calcutta. And it's a real degraded part of Calcutta. It's a mess. Everything's falling apart there. It's just like not a great place to be. And there's garbage in the street and there's packs of wild dogs. If I say, and you treated me like a guru, if I said, Kaustubha, that is your mission for Lord Krishna, you're going to resurrect that temple there, you'd be like, yes, sir. I take that fully on. Now, in a material situation, there's no criteria for peace there. The peace is not there. There's packs of dogs. The place is filthy. It's not like a beautiful sunrise. It's not Malibu, and it's not, Maui. It's materially unpleasing to the senses. But your joy is coming from working for a higher purpose, beyond a higher purpose, for God, for Guru in that place, and therefore, you're liberated. You are liberated.
That's right. What drives someone else crazy doesn't drive you crazy. It becomes inconsequential to you. Within the bhakti literature, like there's this verse by Rupa Goswami. What is it? Oh, if I just had the first word, but it says it's a prayer, and it's saying that just as the minds of young boys are attracted to young girls.
Mm-hmm.
Or just as the minds of young girls are attracted to young boys, which the yogi or the jnani especially, right? The jnani looks at that and say, that's complete illusion. That's complete maya, right? That's the kind of kid stuff that you get lost in when you don't know anything about life. It's not based on truth. It's not based on reality. It's, it's just a totally confused individual, a young boy totally captivated by a young girl or vice versa. But Rupa Goswami, this most elevated yogi, right? Bhakti-yogi. He's praying, just as the minds of young boys are attracted to young girls, and just as the minds of young girls are attracted to young boys. He's speaking about the spontaneity and the intensity of the experience, right? He says, may my mind always be attracted to you, Lord Sri Krishna, right? In other words, that's the yoga that he's looking for. It's a yoga of love, and there's an intensity in love that rivets one's consciousness, rivets one's awareness on one focal point, right? And holds it there. And he's saying, may my mind be attracted to you. And in that yogic state, as you're saying, everything else, all these other goals, so-called goals, become insignificant. All the other walls that the ladder could be placed up against, they become insignificant, because Krishna is Krishna is Rama, right? He is the source of all happiness and all of our well-being. He is the root of all existence. And so sometimes bhakti yogis, they're expressing themselves, it almost sounds like materialism. Right? The jnani would never pray that way. But for the bhakti yogi, it's like, no, through love, through devotion, the goals of jnana are achieved without even trying separately. It's automatic. I've already let go of everything else, and my attention is riveted as like a powerful yogi due to love. Okay. I think that's it for today, Raghu.
That's it. Let's get Kelly Skinner on here.
Oh, yeah,
Kelly, unmute yourself here. Give us some takeaways, please.
Do we have to unmute her?
Kelly Skinner is she is always taking notes.
Yeah, she's a note taker.
She's a note taker.
Well, you all have so much amazing nectar to share with us. I got to get it down.
I wonder how many of our listeners are note takers.
Yeah, put on the board. Put on the board if you're a note taker. Some people are like lifting weights, doing Peloton. Some people are like jotting stuff down like this. I'm going to need this at the time of death. What do you got, Kelly?
Okay, I'm not as good at this service as Mara is, so please forgive me. Mine are always longer than Raghu prefers, but I did my best. So resist running races that have no endings.
Ooh,
Okay.
Milaki.
Don't place your ladder in the cities.
Oh, in the city.
Oh, in the cities.
Oh, like SIDDHIS.
Exactly.
Don't let that be the highest rung of the ladder. They might be one of the rungs.
Right.
You
Bathe
might want to hang out on that rung for a long time.
You can hang
Raghu.
out. You can levitate to the
Experiment
higher
with that rung.
rungs.
Bathe yourself in bhakti.
Mhm.
That's right, Prabhupada.
I love that one.
Yeah.
Love that one.
Oh no, or
Yeah,
the
that's stuff
Sukadeva
about
said that.
it.
Higher than moksha is devotion.
I think it should be bathe yourself in bhakti, rinse and repeat.
Bathe yourself
Mm.
in bhakti, rinse, and repeat forever.
Added. Amended.
It's like
I
a
that.
shower you can't get out of.
Regulate your senses to develop peace of mind.
Regulate your senses. to
All
peace of
right.
mind.
Lousy t-shirt, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Good.
I knew that was
good
coming.
information.
Deep joy comes from working for a higher purpose.
What's that?
Deep joy comes from working for a higher purpose. You said
Yeah. Yes,
You
it
said
does.
that, Prabhu. That was
Yes,
you.
it does. Okay, that's why I'm saying yes, it does.
Yes. Love is the highest principle.
Boo, there's a t-shirt, a
Okay.
scarf, a mug,
A scarf?
a forehead
Yeah,
tattoo.
knit it into the scarf.
Yeah,
love
Mara
that.
knits things right into the scarves now.
Oh, of course.
Messages.
And we're all divine servants.
We're all divine servants.
We're all divine
Now, you see,
servants.
usually the last "and" is usually meant to be a humorous
Funny.
punchline.
There wasn't many
You didn't have any.
punchlines today. You guys were
Yeah.
really serious.
We were pretty
Here,
serious.
Chapu shared the verse Yuvati nam yata yuni. That's the one. Yuvati nam yata yuni. Yunam cha yavatau yata. Mano piramate tadvan. Mano me brahmatam twai. It's a beautiful verse.
Thank you.
And what is
Thank you,
Ella? She's doing some
Chapu.
painting over here or something like that. We gotta
Ella Bira. She's painted some hardcore things.
look at
there.
this. Some yogini.
Quite talented. Thanks everybody for joining us. Thanks,
Yeah.
Ella. I played
is
in
that supposed to
Jerusalem. I
be?
played in Jerusalem once, Kastuba. Maybe she was at the show. No, she's probably 4. Okay. Thanks everybody for joining us. Thanks all these faces on Zoom. You want to join us on Zoom? You can do that. You can email Mara over here. She's not here, but you can email Mara, wisdomofthesages108@gmail.com. She will send you the secret codes to join our little cove of mystic witches.
Coven.
It's not a cove. It's a coven.
Coven.
It's a coven. Don't join our cove. Join our coven of mystic witches. And yep, that's what we're doing, everybody. If you like what we're doing, you can support us, Wisdom of the Sages, by going to patreon.com/Wisdom of the Sages. Make a contribution. We're community supported. If you're part of the community, support us. Thanks for everybody. It's good doing this. Let's do a Sweet Baby Krishna. What day is it today? Moses, what do you
Tuesday?
Sweet Baby Krishna today? Yeah, let's do it. Sweet Baby
Sweet
Krishna, 7 p.m. tonight.